Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then, you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, as well as Q&A polls to take conversations with your fans to the next level. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. I'm personally getting a lot out of Spotify for Podcasters, and I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Aye, every day on this bloody island, I'm afraid I can't save you anymore. You're gonna die, brother.
Careful, Charlie.
My wife and I... Oh, hang on. Stop the ocean.
There we go. That's better, brother.
If you haven't guessed, my wife and I have been watching Lost. Rewatching Lost, I should say, in these times of recuperation. She'd never seen it, and I watched it a long time ago. You can say what you want about the ending. No spoilers here if you've never seen it, but it's a good show. It's a really good show. We're enjoying it. We are taking that as our, glass of wine substitution at the end of the night, watching some Lost and catching up on Jack, Kate, Sawyer, John Locke, Desmond, Claire, and all the other people from the island, Jin, Sun. You know the show. You've probably seen it. But, it's interesting because I was just thinking about the show and I was thinking about, doing the little intro, but I thought it's kind of poignant actually to talk about Lost and some of the little sub-themes in Lost and the mindset. It's really interesting how it's one of those things where certain people who embrace the island see it as this magical, wonderful place where they don't want to leave. And other people on the island just are so fixated on fixing it and changing it and going back to normal, whatever that is, and getting back to the real world and not resting until that happens. They're so fixated on controlling their environment in a way. Oh, pause for a garbage truck. And we're back. You can probably still hear the garbage truck in the back, but I'm going to keep going. Yeah, so, it's one of those things like where when you're fighting something so much, like what you resist persists, right? And I will start with a current story with me. I'm actually on crutches right now as we speak, and I don't say that for pity because I'm actually, in a weird way, kind of enjoying and embracing it. And it has been a little bit of a forced relaxation time for me and a time to heal, but also just to take a break and focus on the things that are important. And I have this really good determination to heal and get better, but also to embrace what's happening right now. I was on the treadmill one morning. My wife and I were getting prepared for her birthday weekend trip, and it was the morning before, and I hopped on the treadmill, and I've been trying to rehabilitate myself and my chronic pain issue. I was almost sprinting at the top speed, and all of a sudden, our power went out. And it was like, it wasn't a gradual, like the treadmill slows down gradually. It just cut off like I ran into a brick wall. And my body just reacted instinctually, and I stopped myself, but I ended up tweaking my foot really badly. I had to go in and get x-rays, and luckily it wasn't broken, but I did some ligament and muscle tendon damage, and it's really painful. I couldn't put any pressure on it. So we got crutches, and my wife and I went ahead with her birthday celebration anyway, and we made the most of it, and we had a really good time, and it was really relaxing, and it was fun. And, we caught up on some Lost too at night, and I know it sounds funny, but that's what happened, and I'm embracing it. I'm sure you can tell from how I'm talking that it's not a bad thing. I'm not like, oh my God, poor me. And it reminded me of Lost, the people who embraced the island and embraced, this being what is and just letting it flow like the ocean surrounding the island. Okay, but enough of Lost. Let's transition into art and your art in the art world and what you're doing and how you're focusing and fixating on your purpose as an artist, as a human being, as a creator, as somebody who's trying to put something good out into the world and hopefully make a living of it. Maybe you don't want to make a living. Maybe that's not your end goal, and that's fine. Maybe it is, and that's also fine. That was my end goal. I wanted to turn my passion into a way to make a living, and I can do both and juggle both, whereas I'm enjoying being a creator and an artist and putting this stuff out there into the world for people to digest, but I'm also getting a return on it, which has enabled me to do it more and up my game and, do this podcast and do all these other things. But the point is, we can get sidetracked. We can get so caught up in what we think is the end goal, and that can kind of cloud us. Like, for example, when I quit my job to do art full time, it was amazing. I loved it. I went with like guns blazing. I started this routine. I hit the ground running, and I started, doing well right away. Right away, the 10-year overnight success story, right? It was all that foundation laying in the years and decade plus prior to that. But once I did make the jump and I burned the boats and I started doing it full time, I hit the ground running, and I was able to just pick up where I left off with my income and then even take it higher. So it was like, okay, I made the right decision. This is something that I'm doing. Now, how does this relate to mindset and Lost and all this stuff from the beginning? Well, it is very easy, and our brains as human beings adapt and adjust very quickly, and we start to have like a new norm. We have like a new baseline. And a lot of times it's like the person who wins the lottery, and then all of a sudden they've got millions of dollars, and then they're not happy again because nothing has really changed within them. It's kind of like that, but a little different. Like, you can get into this and start being a full-time artist and loving it for a year or 2 years or whatever. And then all of a sudden it becomes monotonous. You got to do the everyday on the computer, dealing with collectors, doing the newsletters, doing the social media, doing the marketing, creating every day, juggling all that, sometimes giving up weekends, all that stuff. And pretty soon you can start complaining about being a full-time artist, which is the thing you wanted the most from the beginning. From the get-go, which is something that I can relate to on some level. I've had moments of that, but I've really been quick to bounce back because I did have so many years, 16, 17 years of waiting tables and hating my life. And so I always remind myself of that anytime that starts to creep in, and I bounce back right away. And that's great. But sometimes people don't have that. Or maybe let's say you're lucky enough to start making a living as an artist right away, and you don't really have that frame of reference. You don't have that thing to compare it to, which was really terrible, and now you're doing it and you're loving it and you're just grateful for it every day. Maybe you just started doing it and people started loving your work and you started selling, and now you're like, yeah, whatever. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is all about your mindset. When it comes to selling, it's all about your mindset. When it comes to creating, it's all about your mindset. Finding that thing that is really speaking to you, finding that passion inside, something that really inspires you, that flame that burns. Like for me, a lot of times, even watching a show like Lost or putting on music, that will ignite that flame inside of me, and it'll pour out onto canvas, and it'll kind of like hook me into my own feelings and my own experience as a human being. And then all of a sudden it's like that experience on steroids, and I'm able to put that on canvas, and it's really like a good igniter for me. So part of it is finding that thing that ignites it within you to keep creating well and at your highest level every day when you go out into the studio or wherever you are creating your art. That's important. But also, if you want to figure out like, how do I get over this malaise of either struggling to become a full-time artist or being a full-time artist and trying to get to that next level and trying to really balance like being grateful and enjoying what you're doing and also having those goals to move forward. Well, it's all about mindset, as I've said before, and you can have both. That's the great thing. It's not one or the other. It's not like this thing that a lot of people sell you on, which is like work, work, work. You got to really drive it home. You got to work like a Gary Vaynerchuk, you got to work 18 hours a day. And if you don't, someone will work harder than you. They'll outwork you. That is not true. I don't think that's true. I think it's more about latching into your own state of mind, which enables you to work better, more efficiently. It's like you're having all of the pistons firing at the same time. Whereas if you're really distracted by something, maybe a couple of them are firing and the other ones are lackadaisical or whatever. This gets you going. Everything is working together. You're like a well-oiled machine, and your productivity goes up, your energy level goes up, the feeling you're putting into your artwork goes up, and it's more tangible. It's more accessible to the public. It's like they can feel when you are feeling it. So it's very important to get your mindset straight, because not only will it allow you to latch into your creative capacity, and that will translate to the collectors and to the people who are viewing your art on social media and galleries and beyond, but it'll also allow you to be in the pocket. As they say, we had a drummer who we played with when I was in a punk ska band, and he'd always be like, "Oh, we're in the pocket." And it's a musician term. My friend Bernie and I would always make fun of it, but it's true. You're kind of like, it's like in the flow state. You're in the pocket. It'll enable you to be in that flow state or in the pocket with everything you do. It'll allow you to be enjoying what you're creating, enjoying the process, even the monotony of doing stuff on the computer, the marketing. You can enjoy that. You can breathe through it. You can take it and accept it as part of the process and put 100% into it. And that also translates. It really does. I think a lot of people don't understand these intangibles. They think, well, I'm just checking all the boxes here. I do it every day. But if your attitude sucks, it's like your social media posts are going to suck. They're going to have this like low energy or low vibe to them. The quality of your artwork is going to suffer if you're not in the flow state, if you're not putting everything into it, if you're not harnessing your emotions and everything you've learned. All that is going to suffer as well. The way you interact with people and collectors, that's going to suffer. The way you are at home, just being maybe a little bit in a state of malaise or a depressed state. I've been there, and I'm doing much better because I know these things. And just getting your body and your mind to be on the same page, and getting your emotions on the same page, and getting your energy on the same page. Once you get that and you get in that flow state, everything really just starts to take off. Your sales pick up, your artwork looks better, it's brighter, it's more vibrant, it's more energetic. People respond to you better. You don't really care about all this little bullshit that you might get hung up on. Oh, who did what to me? Who didn't do what for me? All that stuff. It doesn't matter. When you're in that flow, it's the only thing that matters. It's like you are in the pocket. You almost have this force field around you. So that's what we need to be trying to cultivate. And this whole podcast is kind of designed to inform you on how to do that, whether it's going back to listening to the breathing exercises, meditations, or, figuring out social media, or figuring out how to cultivate the abundance mindset, or which art marketplaces are right for you, or figure out how to force creativity through movement in the studio, how to kind of latch into that creative flow state mechanically. All those things, all these tools are here in this podcast, but I'm just here to kind of reiterate and tell you how important all this stuff is, because it's like Lost. I'm telling you, do you want to be on the island and want to be spending your whole time trying to get off that fucking island? Or do you want to embrace the island and the beauty of it, the ocean and this new community that you've made and all the magical shit that goes on there? Which person do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that embraces and thrives, or do you want to be the person who's constantly banging their head up against the wall and struggling and efforting and going like, oh God, when I just get to this point, I'll be happy? I guarantee you, when you get to that point with that mindset or that state of mind, you are not going to be happy. It's just going to level you up to the next level, and you're going to go, oh, when I get to the next level now, I'll be happy. You're going to be like a hamster on a wheel, and you're never going to get there. But if you do start to understand this, then each level will bring you joy, and it'll bring you gratitude, and it'll bring you a sense of achievement, and you will be able to retain that sense of drive and purpose to take you to the next level and set higher goals. But you can just have that flow state where you're enjoying the process and also, striving to achieve more. So I just wanted to share this with everybody today, give you a little kick in the pants, get you back on the island and latched into that flow state, that island state of mind. So hope you enjoyed this. Please reach out to me on social media and tell me what you think. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me how you're doing. I'm going to have some interviews coming up pretty soon. Have been very busy, so I haven't been able to do a lot of interviews in the past couple of weeks, but I will be getting back into that very shortly. In the meantime, stay creative, be good to yourself, and be good to everybody else out there. And we'll see you next time
back on the island, brother. Listen up, Freckles. I'm tired of this damn love triangle. It's time to put your money where your mouth is. Is it me or is it Jack?
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.